One of the words you probably heard mostly used, mainly about your enemy, is the word conspiracy. And conspiracy theory, whatever theory is. We asked Torgeir to say a few words about the difference between conspiracy and facts. There might be a small difference there. Torgeir.
How do I activate? Sett I gang det.
Daniel, hva gjør vi?
Ja, der da. Ja, nå var I gang. All right. So, of course, as we have heard several times, as we have heard several times today, facts can be conspiracies, and conspiracies can be facts. So, the title might be a little bit misleading, but what I'm going to talk about is then how does the concept of conspiracy theory prevent us from breaching the facts? And in that sense, both as a concept in itself, how do real conspiracy theories prevent us from seeing the truth, and also how does the use of the concept conspiracy theory work as a method to keeping us from the truth? So my starting point is then that the concept of conspiracy theory, although it's often used just to discredit true theories about the facts, is also a real concept. When we define it as such, as it was originally defined, as characterized by all-encompassing theories of malevolent actors, and there is a lack of any type of evidence for it, and even the lack of evidence is used as part of evidence for its existence. Such theories do exist, and they do pose a threat to finding the truth. As we know from history, when we think back, the conspiracy theory, the real conspiracy theory, that Jewish capitalists and communists were in concert, undermining the Aryans, and that communism was a ploy by Jewish capitalists to enslave the Aryans. That is a real conspiracy theory. It has nothing to do with facts. And it is dangerous. As we know, that led to the rise of Hitler. And also a similar theory, the Eurabia theory, which is about liberal Western elites importing Muslims to the West in order to Islamize Western countries. And the common theme here is that these theories are without proof and, in a sense, absurd. I mean, why would liberal elites try to import people in order to implement Sharia law in the West? That is what this conspiracy theory is about. And it's dangerous. It led to July 22nd terrorist attacks. It motivates people, and it is totally unrelated to any facts. So these are real theories, real things in society that we must be aware of. However, as dangerous is the misuse, the lumping of such absurd theories with real things that happen. Like, this is not a conspiracy theory to say that David Kelly did not take a huge overdose of painkillers while cutting himself to death with his pruning knife, using his left hand while being right-handed, managing not to leave any fingerprints on the knife after having erased the manuscript from the book he had on his computer he had talked about to his friends. But this is the official story, that he did all of that. That is actually the stated official story of what happened to David Kelly. And to say that this is not plausible, this couldn't have been what happened, that is not a conspiracy theory. That has nothing at all in common with the previous two theories that I presented. And the use of the term conspiracy theory to challenge such absurd official stories is, of course, also preventing us from getting at the truth and actually investigating who actually did kill David Kelly, because the suicide theory for his death is not plausible, according to the official documents in the case. Also not a conspiracy theory is that Bashar al-Assad did not use sarin gas against civilians in 2013, right after Obama had said that that would trigger a US intervention, while his forces were on the offensive, without impacting the rebel forces, and the rebel forces that were controlling the area were linked to Al-Qaeda. They were called Jabhat al-Nusra. And that he did this again in 2017. To say that this is not plausible, something else happened, that is not a conspiracy theory in the sense that I just defined it. It has nothing to do with that. It is an alternative theory to the official story. This story that Assad did this is perhaps not as absurd as the idea that David Kelly killed himself with the circumstances that I described, but it's a less plausible theory than the theory that this was in fact done by rebels who tried to enlist support from Western government, which they almost managed to do. And also, this is not conspiracy theory. This is from the official OPCW UN report on the incident of chemical weapons in Khan Sheikhoun in Idlib province of Syria in 2017. And that is the latter of the two incidents. So I'll read this because it's very interesting. It's not from me, which I would add that whenever I mention this, I will be called a conspiracy theorist. So if you do this, you will be branded a conspiracy theorist as well. But of course, this is the misuse of the term conspiracy theory to keep us from the truth, because I'm just quoting from the official report of the Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Weapons, when they state that certain irregularities were observed in elements of the information analyzed. For example, several hospitals appeared to have begun admitting casualties of the attack between 0640 and 0645 hours. The mechanism received the medical records of 247 patients from Khan Sheikhoun who had been admitted to various healthcare facilities, including survivors and numbers of victims who eventually died from exposure to a chemical agent. The admission times noted in the records ranged from 0600 to 1600 hours. And now highlighted by me, analysis of the records revealed that in 57 cases, patients had been admitted to 5 hospitals before the incident at 0600. In 10 of those cases, patients appeared to have been admitted to a hospital 125 kilometers away from Khan Sheikhoun at 0700 hours, while another 42 patients appeared to have been admitted to a hospital 30 kilometers away at 0700 hours. And then again, important, the mechanism did not investigate those discrepancies and cannot determine whether they are linked to any possible staging scenario. So the official report itself says that it's possible that this could have been staged, but that they did not investigate it. This is from the official report, and stating and just referring things like this has been called conspiracy theory, and that will prevent us from reaching the truth. So we must push back on that. And now even, I just took a picture from two journalists, or actually Owen Jones, a journalist, talking to an Israeli scholar, Raz Siegel, while he is just referring statements from the Israelis documented their genocidal intentions in Gaza. And even referring that, even when we have their official words are now termed as conspiracy theory. So, of course, the term conspiracy theory has now been changed into a term that is used to silence, ridicule, and demonize whoever states anything in opposition to the official narrative. At the same time, I would advise not to just not use the term conspiracy theory, as I already also mentioned. There is such a thing as a conspiracy theory in real terms. We must be aware of that. So how do we distinguish? How do we distinguish these two? I would add one element that we must be aware, that a plausible theory, which is not then a conspiracy theory, because conspiracy theories, real conspiracy theories, are not plausible. They do not need to be investigated further because they're absurd. But there are some theories about events that may not necessarily be true. Yet they're not conspiracy theories, and we must acknowledge that. We must then have three categories. We have the conspiracy theories that are absurd, and then we have the true story, but we don't always know what is the truth. And then we have other plausible theories that might not be true. And I used the incident of the MH17 flight as an example, where we have three theories. That pro-Russian separatists shut down the MH17 by will, that they did it, but by accident, that the Ukrainian government forces shut it down by will or by accident. So there are actually four theories. And in my view, all four theories are plausible. None of those should be termed conspiracy theory, but of course, only one of them can be true. So the three others belong in a different category, which is then not true, but plausible theories that we have to investigate. And in my view, then, actually, I believe this probably was pro-Russian separatists, but I'm not sure. The three others could also be true. I don't know. I don't know for certain, but as far as I've seen, most likely it was pro-Russian separatists that shut it down by accident. But we must then not dismiss those who claim that the other theories, one of the other theories might be right. We must investigate thoroughly if we are going to get to the truth. So the misuse of the conspiracy theory term then ridicules the ideals of critical thinking and investigating journalism, threatens the livelihood of critical journalists, prevents the publication of critical stories, prevents public debate on official narratives, prevents judicial investigation of criminal acts, which is very important in the first example I mentioned with David Kelly, and helps dissemination of war propaganda, which we have seen throughout this seminar. So how to distinguish then? We must just look at any plausible theory and look at all parties involved in the assumed conspiracy. We must look at possible motive. We must always analyze that. And in the case of Syria, I would say the motive is clearly on the side of the rebels. And that is a key part of the evidence in addition to others. We must also look for supporting facts to the theory. And we must investigate all available evidence with an open mind. And finally, we must also be aware that we may be wrong. We must be open to admit mistakes, and those who sometimes do mistakes should not be discredited for sometimes having it wrong. All right, that's all.
I like that, Torgeir. That's really good.